much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Let's get started, shall we? District 1, Habersham County Commission, and we will start, as he mentioned a few moments ago, alphabetical order. So Eric Holbrooks will get the first question. We'll go with Bruce Palmer second, then Kelly Woodall, and then I'll try to stay in that order, if possible. Opening statements will be first, 2 minutes on that, and we will begin with Eric Holbrooks.
Well, hello everybody. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. Thank y'all for hosting this event too. Let people hear what we have to say. I'll introduce myself. I grew up here. I went to Demarest Elementary, South Hab Junior High, Habersham Central, and right here to North Georgia Tech. I have served this community my whole life. My parents taught me to work in our community with everything. As far as the swim team goes, my wife and I, we volunteer our sound equipment and our time at every swim meet and try to help our community that way. My wife and I also are co-founders of the Clarksville Community Thanksgiving that was started at Stoney's, and now we're at the Clarksville Presbyterian Church. We believe in service of our community. I try to teach my children that that's important. And I'm running because I felt like it was just a time to continue my service to this community. And I thank you for the opportunity to try.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Eric. And then we go next to Bruce Palmer.
Good evening. Thank y'all for attending. Thank y'all for hosting. I'm Christopher Bruce Palmer on the ballot. I'm a lifelong resident of Habersham County. I have 4 sons and 4 grandsons. I have a history of service at Habersham County. I started volunteering at the fire department, what's now part of Habersham County, up at Hollywood whenever it was Deep Creek Volunteer Fire Department, before I was 18 years old. I was a volunteer fireman, EMT, paramedic, station chief, training officer, and I did that for a little over 30 years. I was elected in 2020 and took office in 2021. I have a love of Habersham County and its citizens, and that's why I ran for commissioner before, and that's why I'm rerunning now. And I want Habersham County to be a community that our younger generation can live, work, and raise their family here, not have to commute back and forth to work, or even worse, I don't think the things stay long, not have to move away because there's nowhere for them to live, nowhere for them to work. We have some major issues facing the county. The hospital still is an issue, even though we don't own it anymore. We still have the debt from it. Our roads, our landfill, detention center, and public safety staffing are all big problems. Part of those problems are there because of lack of funding. There's a lot of times that property doesn't get reassessed properly. One of the candidates from another district has mentioned that a lot, that we have property that's not assessed properly, and it's commercial property.
Thank you, Bruce. And so candidates, look at that. Alan does a good job of that. The yellow light means 15 seconds. The red light means stop, and you right on the dime. So very nice. Appreciate that. And that'll lead to opening comments now. Kelly Woodall.
Thank you again for being here. I want to say that as I look around the room, I see people I've served alongside since I moved here in 2005. I grew up in Commerce, Georgia. I'm the third of 3 boys. I was raised by a single dad, so hard work and dedication come natural to me. What did not come natural to me was service. And when I became a believer in Jesus in May of 1995, that changed. And I believe we're called to serve. We're called to give our time and our energy to causes better and bigger than ourselves. And so as I considered running for office, I never considered myself a politician, but I've always considered myself a public servant. And I think the calling to serve and the calling to lead is something that comes natural to me and something we're gifted with. But I will say this, as I began to look and consider serving as a commissioner, the one thing that kept resonating in my mind was my passion to be a fiscal conservative. I believe government has a role. We see that in fire and safety and EMS. But I don't believe government is the best solution for most problems. I believe you have to fight to limit government from growing beyond its means. It's kind of like petting a cat backwards. You pet a cat from the tail to the head, at some point it's going to start meowing and hollering and clawing and scratching you. You start trying to cut budgets in government, the same thing will happen. People will start complaining and whining and clawing at you. But it doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. We're called to do things in a fiscally conservative way. These candidates and myself are all considered Republicans. That means we believe in limited government, low taxes, and individual liberty. And to me, with individual liberty comes individual responsibility for your actions. So for me, there are three things that I had to narrow down that were my core values politically that I could articulate. I believe government should be the last option, not the first. If you think there's a need, you should look to the private sector first before you add another government job or expand your budget. Government should be limited. The way you limit government is you limit the funding. And you make sure that you are doing the things that are essential and not everything else. And the last thing is you keep it local. And I do appreciate the opportunity to share.
All right, let's get to our first question, and that we'll start with Bruce Palmer as we go through this category, through the categories and alphabetically and through that role. What strategies, as a county commissioner, in the role as a county commissioner, the strategies do you propose to stimulate economic growth and job creation here in Habersham County? Bruce?
Well, economic growth needs to happen in Habersham County, but we need to direct it into certain areas. The 365 corridor was identified as a commercial corridor years ago. The inland port going in northern Hall County, I think will help us to provide some other development, maybe whether it's warehousing or distribution type centers that will end up being better paying jobs for the citizens in Habersham County. One thing we have to do beforehand is identify those parcels that fit that need or that the ability to put those things here. And we can't wait until the port is built and then try to identify them.
Kelly, we'll go with you. Same question.
I served on the Economic Development Council for Partnership Habersham, and that was a real focus on working with the school system, and I see members of the school system here in partnership with North Georgia Tech to begin training future workforces. And I guarantee you the one thing the industries, when they're looking at Habersham County, they're looking for infrastructure and land sites. We're not going to have to invite them, they're coming. But the second thing they want to do is an educated, prepared workforce. And I do believe that corridor, they're calling it the Blue Ridge Corridor, will be the job sector for not just Habersham, but for Rabun, Stevens, Banks, White County. And I've met with the county managers of those other two counties. I think it's wonderful to think that our students that graduate here can have the opportunity to do blue-collar or white-collar jobs here, and within a 30-minute radius provide jobs. So as we're preparing, the one thing that we got to do to build infrastructure is we have to contain spending within our county budget. And at this point, the trust level in our constituents is not there to ask for a new tax on a T-SPLOS or anything else to fund the infrastructure. We have to do the little things right before we ask for the big things.
And then we move to Eric, strategies as a county commissioner to stimulate growth and economic growth and job growth in Habersham.
Well, with that being said, the number one thing that I think we have to do is get our cities and our municipalities involved in these decisions. It can't just be people on the Board of Commissioners. We have to get all the cities and all the municipalities in together in the same room and discuss going forward. And like Bruce was saying about the inland port coming our way, it's coming through. These trucks are going to come through our neighborhoods. We're going to have to be ready for that. And talking it over with the cities and getting these things in works so that we're prepared. Whether it be, like I have ideas for, like what about a Love's truck stop, something along that line on the 365 corridor so that we can take advantage of some of those fuel taxes and other advantages for our community and grab what we can from it without it destroying our farmlands.
Second question, for over 40 years, leaders have spoken about the water and sewer needs along the aforementioned 365 corridor. How can Habersham County catch up in terms of water and sewer infrastructure along that corridor, attract industry? What are those steps that could actually swiftly be implemented? And start with you this time around, Kelly.
As we've talked with engineers who've been working with Hall County about building infrastructure out from Hall County, the one thing they will often say, you have to have the water and sewage. Baldwin has a wonderful opportunity in the fact that they've served the prison there in the south end of the county with water and sewage for years. Lula also has sewage capacity. And so as we work together, it's not going to just be Habersham County we're going to have to look to. We're going to have to look to outside of Habersham County at times for partnerships as well to tie into sewage systems where there's capacity. My goal would be to build infrastructure from the Hall County line backwards towards Baldwin. That way, as the growth is coming out of Hall County, we're building in sections towards the Habersham County line. We do have a water issue. We have a long-term water issue in our county. But the infrastructure that is needed, for providing for these industries, will have to be a partnership with cities like Baldwin and others in order to provide the infrastructure there.
Eric, you'll be next and talking about the 365 corridor water infrastructure.
Again, I bring up, it's a conversation that we all have to get together, right? I mean, this is not, we can't just stick to the same old, this is how it's gonna be. I mean, that's part of it is and I think for me, that's part of these conversations. I work in the power industry, so I have a lot of contacts in that field, power, water, things such as that I think we can start getting some numbers together and figure out how we can work together to provide these items that we need to get these, the growth that's coming and keep it where we want it, when we want it.
And Bruce, you get to wrap up on question number 2 about the 365 corridor infrastructure.
Well, working with the cities has already begun. The county and all the municipalities created what was called an HC3 group. And that was for basically collaboration, communication between the cities and the county and the cities with each other. And that was the focus of that, was to start looking at ways to expand water, expand sewer, and whatever infrastructure we need. Roadways, there was talk about the connector there behind or beside Walmart. That's another kind of economic driver that has to have water and sewer to it. But the cities predominantly control the water and sewer currently, so we have to continue to work together with them through this group.
Third question, the county is facing major future expenses. Those were already brought up in the preliminaries here in the introductions, and that's relating to the hospital debt, possible new jail, landfill needs. So how do you propose acquiring funding to solve these issues in those terms? Eric, we start with you this go around.
Okay, so we, with the jail, for example, we put that through and it was voted down phenomenally. I mean, people just were not ready for that kind of expense. We have to address it. We're going to have to work on it. Number one, in my opinion, we've got to figure out a way to get our inmates helping us to maintain the building and our roadsides outside that. For funding, as far as the landfill goes, we all know that's getting full. I don't understand why we're still in the trash business. Every county around us has privatized their landfills and their trash systems, completely privatized them. And if you build a transfer station over in Mount Airy, we can turn part of that into a recycling center, which is very much needed in our community, and get that landfill let the private companies do what private companies does. Get government out of people's lives. Let private companies do what they do.
Bruce, you go next.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the county is facing major future expenses related to the hospital debt, possible new jail, landfill. How do you propose to acquire funding to solve these issues in the long term?
Unfortunately, the hospital debt, we're stuck with it. I know it wasn't popular when we had Northeast Georgia to take it early, but the alternative was shutting the hospital down, so that was the best alternative. As far as the jail, it has to be funded, whether it's done on a referendum or the commission defined funding mechanism, one way or another. Now, the landfill, a lot of people don't realize it's an enterprise fund and it is self-sustaining. So right now, there's no money goes into the landfill, and it not only pays for the operation of the landfill and the testing of the wells there, it also pays for the testing of the wells at the old landfill, so there's not tax money involved with it. We do need to expand recycling, and we're working on those things as well.
As I met with the county managers in Banks County and Raven County, one thing is for certain, they have a T-SPLOS. And I know it's not been popular here in Habersham County, and I'll tell you why it's not been popular. Is the residents of Habersham County have not trusted the county government to rein in spending and keep millage rates low while you're asking for an additional tax. Because personally, I believe in a consumption tax. I believe that if we have the choice of where we spend our money and we want to spend and buy here in Habersham County, and that tax go to fund these opportunities, that's a better way than a progressive penalty on our residents. Having said that, as we go forward, there are going to be conversations we have to have about what is efficient, and the landfill will be one of those areas. But as a county, we just took over the operation of the airport. It was privately operated. They were making money. The county saw it as a revenue stream and decided to take over it. Now we have to employ people to run the airport instead of a private industry, which we could have had oversight for. Now we have to run it, and we have to employ employees to run it. Those are the kind of concepts that I think we have failed to acknowledge as a county government, that we can trust private industry to run certain aspects.
Question number 4. Residents are growing weary of property taxes increasingly every year. So what steps will you take to ensure transparency and accountability in county government, particularly regarding budget allocations and the decision-making process? Bruce, you go first this go around.
A lot of the folks that come to our commission meeting last year or came last year and complained about their taxes going up, there was a misconception because of the property value assessment. Their taxes actually weren't going up because their value was frozen. So a lot of times there is that misconception. We checked out of like 20-something folks, there wasn't but one that their property taxes actually increased. So we do have a fairly low millage rate when you take into consideration that the Board of Education gets the local option sales tax, or gets a local option sales tax, I guess. And if you look on your property tax bill, they do a millage rollback for that. So other than just keeping an eye on growth.
Kelly, same question for you. Transparency, accountability regarding budget allocations and decision-making process.
You know, in the county budget, it's all front-loaded. The conversations that are happening between January and then in March, where the budgets are being discussed and the budget managers are coming in for their requests, are an open forum discussion. But it's all front-loaded. Once those decisions are made and the budget's approved and it's put into place in July 1, the rest of the year is enacted. So the conversations that you as the elected, or the electors, have for us as the elected is to represent you. Now, if we go into those budget meetings, one of the things that has changed that used to be a part of that budget process is budget managers had to do zero-based budgeting, meaning they didn't come in and get the exact amount they had the previous year and then add additional projects to it. They had to start from zero. In the past 3 to 4 years, that's changed. And so now they're coming in with their expenditures from the previous year. They're asking for additional expenditures, and therefore their budget's grown. I believe we return back to a zero-based budgeting on a lot of these areas in the county budget, particularly those that fall under the county manager's purview, and we let them work out their budget openly in front of the constituents.
Harry Colbrooks, you get to finish on this question.
All right, so transparency on this particular the budget process and stuff. I went to the budget hearings this year. I listened. I didn't understand half of it, I'll be honest with you. But what I have dug into over the last few weeks for me is trying to figure out where is the tax dollars going? Where are we spending that, you know? And as you dig into the line item stuff, some of it don't make sense to me. I'm not a banker. I don't understand all of it there is to know, but I work hard to learn it. I think we have to dig more into each line item, figure out where this money's going, and really focus on those line item budgets. I think that's important. In the county we live in, we're getting a number, but you know, like some of the things in the meetings that I've noticed, we're doing, you know, these vehicles come through and then they ratify afterwards. To me, I think we should be allotting that money up front and not having to ratify.
Fifth question, as the county's largest industry, agriculture plays a vital role in our economy and cultural heritage. However, rapid residential development and urbanization pose significant threats to our agricultural lands. So how do you plan to protect and preserve our agricultural heritage and economy and that economic engine that goes with that? And this time around, we begin with Kelly Woodall.
If you talk to local farmers, they'll tell you that the tax burden is almost prohibitive to them being able to maintain their family farm. And so you get a developer comes in and said, hey, we'll buy this burden off of you and we'll put a development here, and they'll follow the standards and the ordinances that are enacted in our county. But currently those ordinances are a little too lenient. If you talk to Baines County and Raven County, they've moved the minimum lot acreage to 2 acres. And they put a lot of stipulations in order to help preserve family farms. They've often, even Baines County took an initiative saying a lot of our families, their kids grew up, went to college, moved away. Now they want to come back. And so they put carve-outs into there to allow families to cut out a piece of their property to allow their kids to move back into the county. I personally have 2 boys that I want to see live here. And I want them to be able to see an active family farm operating in Habersham County. Developments are going to be pushing our way because there are industries that are on the south end of the county. But we have a responsibility to set forth parameters in the ordinances that we put out there for our potential developers to limit the size to 2 acres or larger and to prevent family farmers from having to go in through a heavy, burdensome tax.
Eric, you go next, preserving the culture of agriculture and that economic engine.
Well, somebody that growed up with farming in my background, it's important to us. Our agriculture is extremely important to our livelihood here in Habersham. But number one thing is, and I've said this more than once now, get government out of people's lives. Get out of it as much as possible. Let them have these conservations and keep that safe for our farmers. The conservations, you know, that's viable to their livelihood and feeding us and taking care of our, you know, I mean, hell, it's one of the biggest things that we, for as far as the money coming into our county. You know, we want to preserve that agricultural land for future and work on our district mapping. You know, we got to keep these farms from being messed with in the first place.
Bruce, you get to finish up this question.
I grew up in the northern part of this county. My grandparents and my uncles had chicken houses, they had cows, and I'll tell you the maddest I ever seen my uncle was he got an 18-cent check for growing a batch of chickens, 6-week chickens, 18 cents. It's not the taxes. The smaller farms can't compete with the commercial farms. You know, the larger, whether it's cattle, whether it's chickens, right around Habersham County, and look at the chicken houses that are either falling in or there were houses there that's been torn down. Unfortunately, that level of farming, I don't know how to get it back. It's a good question. I would love for it to be back.
Can I respond to that? No. Okay.
All right, we go to question number 6 here. Given the fragmented nature of our county's governance with 7 separate municipalities, what are your thoughts on the potential benefits and challenges of unifying these entities? This is really a 2-parter. Also, how do you envision collaboration, coordination among the municipalities to better serve the interests of all residents in Habersham County? Eric Holbrooks, you get to lead off on this one.
This is what I'm good at. is I talk to everybody. Everybody knows me, and I'm a conversationalist at the worst case of my life. So going out and talking to people is important, not only our citizens, but these municipalities and our cities. And I've already been talking to a lot of them, just trying to figure out what would be best as I've decided to get in here and run for this seat. How can I help them? And to get together with them, it's not hard. It's not a hard thing. You just have to go and have these conversations. And then, like Bruce brought up, the HC3, that was a great thing that started. We just got to continue it. We've got to go more with it. Get these cities back involved with our county as we're one cohesive unit. And the same with our Board of Education. Let's all get together and figure out how to move forward for our kids, because that's important to this county, to the youth. So we need to get together and talk about it.
Bruce?
You know, talking to folks is easy, and answering their questions, sometimes you tell them what they want to hear, sometimes you tell them what they don't want to hear. I'm trying to be transparent, doing town hall meetings and communicating with people. Unfortunately, I pretty much do a town hall meeting a quarter, and I don't have it, but if I did, I'd give $1 million for a crowd like this to come out to a town hall meeting and try to understand what's going on. Usually there's a handful of people, and for the most part, it's the same ones that come out each time. Getting folks involved sometimes is the challenge though.
Kelly?
Let me tell you about a success story. When I served on the chamber board, we came together with the municipalities in our county during the downturn, the economic downturn, and said, we need to form a partnership. And that's where Habersham Partnership for Growth came from. It was a mixture of cities, municipalities, the county, and private industry. And let me tell you a success story. Between the work of the Habersham County School System, North Georgia Technical College, and the private industry, we were able to put through, in 2 semesters, 26 high school students, seniors, through a MIG welding certification process here at North Georgia Tech. Habersham Central transported the students to North Georgia Tech. North Georgia Tech provided the classes. And then the industry provided the tools and resources those students needed to graduate and have a MIG certification welding certificate. You know what they started out at salary-wise when they graduated? Around $40,000 to $45,000 a year with 2 semesters of training in high school. That's how you get public and private working together. You come to the table, bring your resources together, figure out what each city has, what the county has, and what the private industry have, and you come up with solutions. That's a beautiful example of it.
All right, we've come to, unless there are any more questions, okay, we're good. Closing comments. We'll go in reverse order of how we did the opening comments. So, Kelly, you'll get to start, followed by Bruce, and then Eric.
I started my career as an engineer for a division of GE in the U.S. and Canada, and I learned a lot. I've run budgets. I was a Dean of Enrollment Management for Tallulah Falls School for 14 years, and prior to that, I worked for Piedmont University. And one thing I learned from Dr. Ray Clear, the former president of Piedmont University, he had a department he was not happy with and how it was working. And he said, you know, it's like a bowl of spaghetti. He said, the only way I know to get them straightened out is to cut their budget. And as a young guy, I thought, well, you just said they weren't doing what you wanted. How are you going to get it if you cut their budget? But what he's saying is when there's limited resources, you become innovative and you become responsible and you prioritize the things you should spend on. As I was at Piedmont this last week, I looked up and I saw the Mayflower above their chapel. And you know, a ship is like this. If you get the weight too heavy on one side, it'll list. And sometimes you got to right the ship. We're overweighted on taxes in our county. We need to right the ship. And we need to set a course, and we set a chart of course together as a community towards an outcome that we want to see. We want to see industry contained and maintained in the south end of the county. Let's invest there. We want to preserve the farms and agriculture. Let's put in ordinances that protect that. But I think together we can envision an idea and we can make it happen through collaborative work. But I think so many times we look to the government for the answer. Honestly, if I've ever known anything, it's typically when government gets involved, it's ineffective, inefficient, and slow. I love the fact that we have private industry here in our county that is so innovative that they start new things that we love, the mom and pop restaurants, the mom and pop businesses. But one of the things I've learned as I've been talking to business leaders in our community is when the bidding process happens for major infrastructure projects or major building projects in our counties, local industries are not given a priority in the bidding process. We have some great top-notch commercial builders. And you know how many of those are doing the projects for the SPLOST? None. Those are the ones that put their names on the back of your kids' T-shirts when they do a charity run or they're on a Little League baseball team. Those are the ones who fund our county, and those are the ones who build our county. We should have loyalty to those businesses. I would love your vote.
Thank you, Kelly. Bruce?
Local businesses in Habersham County do get priority over other businesses. There's a percentage, and unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, there's a legal precedence for it, and it has to be done a certain way. The ones of you that live in the south end of the county, when you go vote at the South Precinct, if you vote there, look at that building. That was done by a local contractor in Habersham County. He's the one that got the bid. A lot of times, local folks don't bid on the stuff here. Or if they do, they're way above that percentage. So we have rules that you have to follow, and no different than if it were a state level or the school system. I've been a commissioner for a little over 3 years now. I think I've accomplished a lot for the citizens of Habersham County. I ask you if you would to support me and vote for me for another term. Things that I promised to bring to the office: integrity, experience, knowledge, and transparency, as I've done with the town hall meetings.
Eric, you get to wrap things up.
Once again, I want to thank all y'all for having this forum and letting us get out and talk. I don't have all the right words and the fancy talking points and stuff. I don't have that. I'm a roll up your sleeves and get stuff done guy. That's what I do. I work every day to provide for my family. I'm a project coordinator at my job. I manage a lot of guys. I have to live within a budget that our company sets forth. I can do that with this county. I am thankful for this opportunity. I'm trying my best. I do believe I can make a difference in our community. I believe it with all my heart and soul. I kind of do my little 3 words that describe me the best is transparency, communication, and relationships. And the people that know me know that. I really don't have any way to hide who I am. I say what's on my mind. Sometimes it's not proper, but I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I come to you and I asked you for your vote. I want this opportunity to serve my community. Lived here my whole life, and I think I can make a difference. Thank y'all.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. They're your District 1 candidates. Thanks for them being here. Thank you very much. It takes a lot to run for office, so we appreciate everybody running. Thank you for giving your time here tonight, and we'll bring in District 4. That'll be next up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bruce Harkness, and I've had the honor and privilege to be your commissioner for the last 4 years, and it's great to be here. Hey, it's a great day to live here in Habersham County, and they've got us stressed out up here. We've got to hold this microphone button, or you won't be able to hear what we're saying. So I'm trying to watch the light and watch Wade over here because he might be mean to me tonight. So, no. Wade is a great guy, and I have to say that first and foremost. And I'm honestly glad that he's running. You know why? This man right here has made me get out here and work. It made me get out and meet people. It made me get out and find out what the real needs of the public are. Because if he hadn't ran against me, I'd be sitting at home watching this forum tonight. You know, it's been my privilege to be your commissioner, to serve you, and for the last 4 years, and I'm honored to serve you. I met a retired lady the other day, and she was in a modest home, and I was talking to her about what she thought I needed to do as her commissioner, and she said, "Sir, let me tell you something." She said, "I am a little person, and I'm a nobody." And you know, that told me right then what this campaign is all about for me. I want to represent those people, the people in this county that believe that they're the little people, and the people that believe that they're the nobodies in this county. Those are the people that I want to fight for. I want to be their voice. I want to stand up for them when they don't have anybody else to stand up for them. And like I told her, ma'am, you are somebody to me. And I'm here because I want to serve you again for 4 more years. I don't want us to be Hall County. I want us to enjoy our little slice of heaven here in Habersham County. And I'll be honored to serve you again as your commissioner.
And now we go to Wade Rhodes, opening comments, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Farm Bureau, for having this event. This is important to this community. Thank you, Bruce, for the kind words. I've enjoyed being your friend for a long time, so this is fun to kind of talk about each other here. My name is Wade Rhodes. I bought a small farm here in 1984. Moved here permanently in 1990. My wife Barbara is a native Habersham County and been in the banking business here locally for 36 years. Together we have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. For 23 years I ran a multi-unit retail organization called Mrs. Rhodes Bakery and Hickory Hams. I had stores in Gwinnett and had a store here in Clarksville. I sold that business in 1999. I've been in the commercial real estate and development business for the 24 years with the Norton Agency. I have served this community in many capacities, and the one I'm most proud of is 1994. I started North Georgia Soccer, which is now called Rapids Football Club. I coached hundreds of kids and reffed thousands of games over the years. And guess what? The fruits of my labor are coming through because tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Tallulah Falls girls play in the second round of the state playoffs. The boys play in the second round of the state playoffs. Thursday night, the Habersham County girls are in the second round of the state playoffs. And Friday night, the boys are in the second round of the state playoffs. So guess where I'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the soccer field. I've taught junior achievement at South Habersham for 8 years. I was chairman of the chamber in 2014. I was on the Archway Committee representing the chamber for 3 years. I've been on the Hub Board, Habersham United Believers, for 10. I was first chairman of Partnership Habersham. I was also the co-founder with Charlie Five-Ash for a program called the Raider Up program. It's a high school. It's like an employment agency at the high school. We have a moral obligation in my
I'm
need
sorry,
to quit.
red light there. Sorry about that.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So let's get to the question, shall we? All right. So question number 1, what strategies as a county commissioner do you propose to stimulate economic growth and job creation here in Habersham County? And Wade, we get to start with you on this one.
Well, some people don't like to hear this, guys, but growth is at our front door. It's coming.
And Wade, if you can press that button.
I'm
There
sorry,
we go.
got to
Thank
hold the
you.
button. So growth is at our front door, coming right up 985. All you got to do is look at the industry and the traffic on 365, Kubota, the inland port. It's all coming this way. But what we have to do is, as a community, we got to decide who do we want to be, what do we want to look like, and where do you want that growth to be. We have a great educational system as far as our public and private systems. We got to make sure our kids are ready for those jobs, and we need to make sure that we provide the correct job for them. If they decide they want to live here and raise their families, we need to make sure this is a safe community and it's clean, and that there's a good economic base for them to pick a job that they want so they can raise their families here.
Thank you, Wade. Bruce, stimulating the economy, economic growth here in Habersham?
Well, I believe that there's a certain corridor pathway here in Habersham County that's already been laid out with the 4-lane for industry and for growth towards businesses. I don't want to ruin Habersham County. I don't want to see Habersham County ruined. I don't want Habersham County to turn into Hall County or Gwinnett County for South County. I believe in us trying to fight to keep our way of life, our culture, our values. Yes, we need some industry for our young people. Probably 70, 80, 90% of our children that just graduated had to move because they, number one, don't have a place to live, number two, don't have a job. What are we going to do about that? Those are a lot of things we have to worry about, but we need to make sure that industry comes in a certain area that's not going to spoil the beautiful mountains of this county. I'm telling you, if somebody doesn't stop this uncontrolled growth of this county, we're going to be another Hall County, Gwinnett County, and I'm going to fight it. If you want to know the difference in these two candidates, Bruce, he's a fine man, Bruce, but I'm just saying that's my position.
And we have a deputy in here, and we've got to stop at the red light, okay? Can't run the red light. All right. All right, so 365, that corridor's been brought up. That's been talked about for a long time, 40-plus years, about the water, the sewer needs along those lines. So here's your question. When it comes to water and sewer infrastructure along Highway 365 to attract industry, what steps can be taken to swiftly implement the infrastructure that is needed? Bruce, we start with you.
A lot of people may not know this, but the city of Demorest is using sales tax money, and they're boring under 985 or 365 right now as we speak. They've already got awarded that project. They're going to be boring under there to put water and sewer on the other side of 365. So they're going to have that down to where it'll be going southward. So then they just need to worry about tying in with the other cities or working with the other cities to get the water and sewer down towards the lower end of the county. Right now, the reason why that growth, the industrial growth, has not hit Habersham County is we have no water. We have no sewer from Demorest south, or from Baldwin south. And so we don't want getting to a fighting contest over the cities. We want to work together with the cities. But to be able to get industry, we have to provide them with water and sewer. But there again, as your commissioner, I want to try to get that growth, that industrial type growth in the south end of the county, leave our beautiful mountains, leave our pastures, our farmland as it is. Thank you.
Wade, same question.
Okay. Well, Bruce, listen to what you said earlier about protecting this community and our beauty. You put water and sewer down 365, you're going to get a tremendous amount of growth. That's where growth needs to be along that highway, along 365. That's why you need to get involved in your community and talk to elected officials and that make sure they hear that we don't want growth out in the community with the mountains and the streams and the pastures. It needs to be funneled along 365. Hall County put sewer along White Sulphur to Highway 52, and in the past 10 years, there's $5 billion worth of investment in industry between White Sulphur and Highway 52. If we get water and sewer from the county line up to, say, Anderson Village, you're going to see industry after industry come up 365, and the county does not have water and sewer. All of our water and sewer is on our municipalities. So something's going to have to happen about some kind of joint venture between intergovernment agreement between Cornelia, Baldwin, and the county to get sewer.
Next question. County facing major future expenses related to hospital debt that's lingering, possible new jail, landfill needs. So how do you propose to acquire funding to solve these issues in the long term? And Bruce, we start with you on this one. Well, actually, we start with Wade on this. Sorry about that, Wade.
Well, there's no question about it. I'm a sales tax person. I believe in special local option sales tax. It's the fairest tax there is. The more you spend, the more you pay, and you collect taxes from people who don't live here, who are traveling through our county. All of you know that the world has discovered northeast Georgia, and the traffic through here coming from our community to Raven County, Mountain City, and Dillard is very heavy. So I'm a sales tax opponent. Now, if you do sales tax, you got to give the homeowner a break. You can't have it both ways. You have to promise the homeowner you're going to lower the millage rate if you're going to do more in sales tax. But you pay for it with sales tax, in my book. And that's a key to doing any kind of infrastructure. You have to pay for a jail with the sales tax, with SPLOSH, or the animal shelter that we're working on, EMS center. I think sales tax is the only way to go.
Bruce, you're next, acquiring funding.
I'm a conservative Christian Republican, and I'm what I would
refer
to as a Reagan Republican. And I am not for taxing the people to death. We can't continue funding projects by continuing to dip in the pockets of the working men and women in this county. So we have to choose, what are we going to do? We commissioners met the other day with the U.S. Forestry to try to work with them to try to buy some more land to extend our landfill. Talking about the jail, yes, we need a new jail, but we also need to be working on some grants to try to get some grants in here to this county. There's counties all around us that are getting millions of dollars worth of grants, and that money does not tax the people that live here. It is morally wrong to continue to tax these people, my people, your people in this county, to continue with budget, not living in our budget. We have to live within our means, people. And if we don't have the money in the budget, then we can't do it. And so we have to decide at some point, what are we going to do and how we're going to do it? And I say one thing is we have to try to get grants.
Since we're on taxes, residents growing weary of property taxes, both of you talked about that, increasing every year. So what steps will you take to ensure transparency and accountability in county government, particularly regarding budget allocations and the decision-making process? Bruce?
A couple of weeks ago, I sat all week long away from my friends and family and away from my office, sitting in budget meetings for this county. And a lot of people don't even know those things went on. We sat in meetings all week to try to figure out what the county needed and what we're going to do. You know, we are living on a finite amount of money that comes in. In this county, we have 68% of the people, homeowners, that are paying the bulk of the taxes. Only about 25% of the taxes are paid by industry. That's upside down from what most counties are. And so we can't continue to increase the burden on the homeowners. But my opinion is with taxes is that we can't continue to tax people. I've never voted for tax increases. If we can't live within our means, within our budget, we just can't do it. In my home, in my business, if we don't have the money in the checking account, then we don't do it. Yeah, we have a lot of needs in this county, but we need to prioritize those needs, and we need to figure out as commissioners what we need to do for the people that's the best interest for everybody.
Wade?
Well, there's no question that I've been critical of our tax assessor's office. I'm in commercial real estate. I look at commercial property every day. I can show you property after property, in my opinion, that is valued incorrectly. All the burden is on the residential taxpayer. There's no reason in the world that a property out there that was bought in 2010 and forward is worth less on their tax bill today than it was when they paid for it. I can show you property after property that is incorrectly assessed from my tax assessor's office. I made a comment not too long ago about conservation easements, and conservation easements, agriculture, are vital to this community. Agriculture is our #1 industry. But like every other government program, there's abuse out there in that. Why should we have properties in our business park that are in conservation easement? Why should we have property next to Lowe's that's in an agricultural conservation easement? We've got to do some work on our tax assessors to get the burden off the residential homeowner.
So let's go to agriculture, and that's there's heritage there. It's an agricultural. The agricultural community is certainly an economic engine for Habersham County as well. So, rapid residential development, urbanization, those pose threats to agriculture and the lands. How do you plan to protect and preserve agricultural heritage and Habersham County's largest economic engine? Wade, we start with you.
Well, there's no question that that's our biggest industry. So you have to protect that industry. So if you're going to put infrastructure on 365 and want to attract industry to this community, it has to be along that corridor and nowhere else. The agriculture community industry you're talking about obviously is poultry. So you have to protect that industry, and you have to protect the jobs that go with it. So any kind of growth needs to not compete with that poultry industry, but it also has to be located along that corridor, and you can't let it out of that corridor. If you're concerned about your taxes, and you're concerned about growth, and you're concerned about traffic, everything that goes with it, you cannot just sit around and let a board of commissioners make decisions for you. You got to show up at planning commission meetings, and you got to show up and you got to show out. You cannot sit idly by and let this growth come without your voice being heard. It's important that you participate in the process.
Bruce?
Farmers are the backbone of this country. And let me tell you something. Farms in this county are being gobbled up daily. In the last few months in this county issued over 60 building permits a month for houses to be built in this county. Now you stop and think about that. That over the next 10 or 12 years will potentially double the population of this county. And it's going to destroy farming in this county. So listen, how can us commissioners fight against that? How can we fight against this huge growth that's coming our way? Everybody's like, oh, you can't stop growth. Well, I can tell you we can curb it and we can manage it. One way we can stop is these these little tiny lots like this right here, where people are building little tiny houses on little tiny lots all over our county, gobbling up farms like some of us went and looked at one the other day, destroyed a farm, destroyed the whole community, pouring tons of people out on the roadway. We have to start managing this. We have to start looking at it and being realistic that we don't want to destroy farms by building tiny little houses, communities like this in our beautiful county.
And sixth question. Given the fragmented nature of our county's governance and 7 separate municipalities, we need your thoughts this evening on potential benefits and challenges unifying these entities. Two-parter. Also, how do you envision collaboration and coordination among the municipalities here in Habersham County that is in the best interest of all of Habersham? And we'll start with you, Bruce.
Habersham County is one of the few counties in the state. We have 7 cities, people, 7 cities, and they're all doing their own thing. They all have their own city councils, their own mayors. They have their own government. They have their own police departments. And, you know, it would be good if we all could work together a little more. All of us work together. And this is going to have to come to place. And when it comes to future growth with water and sewer especially, there's places in this county right now where people's wells are going dry. North end of the county, people call me every day and say, look, we're begging for water. What can we do? The county right now has no water and no sewer. We can't do it on our own, but we can work with the cities. And my opinion is, and I have worked very well with the cities, and I'll continue to if I get reelected. But let me say this, we have to work with the 7 cities, and one way that we can work with the cities is to try to do intergovernmental agreements to try to manage growth and try to help the county try to like run city water, city sewer out to these places in the county that needs it.
Wade.
We were an Archway community for 5 years. We spent $300,000 with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. We had an Archway professional in our community for 5 years and did all kind of projects. The biggest success of the Archway program was Partnership Habersham coming out of that. They guided us in the development of Partnership Habersham. We had a monthly meeting at Piedmont University in that library, and every mayor was there, the county manager was there, we had a representative from the hospital there. And the greatest thing that came out of that entire project was everybody understood what's good for Baldwin is good for Cornelia. What's good for Clarksville is good for Mount Airy. What's good for Alto is good for Cornelia. And we have a great relationship. That program just needs to continue and needs to be revitalized. A lot of the elected officials that participated in that Archway project are not longer in office. We need to revitalize that Archway program and the partnership.
Closing comments, 2 minutes for that. And so we will begin with Wade, and then we go to Bruce.
We have an obligation, and I believe in this community got to hit the button. We have a moral obligation in this community to work together for the next few years. I tell you that growth is at our back door or front door, however you want to look at it. You have got to get up and get involved, guys. It's not just our decision or our wants and needs. It's your wants and needs. It's the constituents' wants and needs, and it's your concerns. Your voice needs to be heard. You have to participate in planning commission meetings. You have to participate in county commission meetings. And one thing that you have to do is communicate. I'm at a planning commission meeting about a month ago, and there was a 114 unit subdivision approved in the city of Demorest. The next day I asked the school board superintendent, Mr. Cooper, did you know anything about this subdivision? No, I usually see it in the paper. I asked the planning director, did you pick up the phone and call Mr. Cooper and ask what 114 new homes would do to the school system at Fairview or Demorest Elementary? No, I didn't do that. Guys, you can't do that. Schools are expensive. You don't just wiggle your nose and build a new school. You have got to communicate with each other, and you have to work together as a community to make things work. When the Board of Education and the government and the private sector are not at the table together, things don't work together. The Archway program proved that to be successful. Partnership Habersham does that. We do it all the time. We're involved in our school system. We're helping kids learn how to interview, how to write a resume, how to get a job. It's called connecting the dots to the industries that are here. And if we don't get involved more in the school system and help these young people that need the help, we're in big trouble. There's some great kids that come out of that school, some of them going to the Naval Academy, some of them going to Dartmouth, but guys, there's a group of kids out there that are lost. They don't have parents at home like we all did to help us sit down and decide what we want to do with our life. We have got to get involved with the system, and we have to volunteer to do more mentoring and help these kids and help our community.
Well, thank you very much. Bruce, 2 minutes, closing comments.
Thank you very much. I want to be the taxpayer's bulldog, and I mean that. I want to fight for you. I want to fight for the little people. I want to fight for the people of this county. I want to fight for the elderly. I want to fight for everybody in this county from young to old. And let me say this, Habersham County is a slice of heaven, believe it or not. That's why everybody wants to move right here. And let me say this, we're going to have to control it. We're going to have to control the growth, and we're going to have to take care of the people we have here first before we can continue allowing this burgeoning growth coming our way. Future estimates saying that 100,000 people are moving to our beautiful mountains. And let me tell you something. A lot of people are saying, Bruce, you can't put up a road blockage down there. Well, I'll tell you this. We commissioners can try to manage this growth. And if you elect me, that's what I'm going to do. I want to fight for lower taxes. I want to fight against wasteful spending. I want to fight for our wonderful people. I want to fight to maintain our values and our beautiful way of life. I want to fight to control runaway growth. Something else. If we need to hire people in this county, why don't we look at our county people first? I want to start that process in this county. If we need to hire people in this county, let's look at local people first. Let's reverse that trend of having to look at somebody in Atlanta or New Jersey or wherever. Why don't we look at local people first? And I have never voted for a tax increase in my life, and I'm not going to if you elect me for another term. Let me tell you something. I want to be your voice of the government. A lot of people don't know what to say, but I want to say it for you. I am not going to be bullied, and I'm not going to be pushed around. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm mean. I just want to sound like I'm here to fight for you. I've never been bullied, and I'm never going to be pushed around if you vote for me. I'm going to represent you, and I'm going to fight hard for you and the people. I'm not a yes man, and I'm not going to be. I'm going to fight for you, the citizens of this county. I'll ask for your vote. Thank you. God bless you all.
Bruce Harkness, Wade Rhodes, District 4. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. District 5 coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, where I come from, ladies always go first, but I've been told to obey the rules, so I have to. Ma'am, please forgive me. My name is George Locke Arnold. I've tried this time and time again. I think the majority of you know me. I've been in business for 42 years. I've quickly got a list right here I want to go over. Okay, number one, the amnesty law. It promotes illegal activity. It protects the guilty and it harms the innocent. Anytime our 911 system is activated, they have to go back to the same place time and time again. Something's wrong. It's a dope house. Meth, crystal meth, heroin, black tar, heroin, and fentanyl. This is very serious business. We need to get a handle on it. The commission needs to look at this. I say shut the house down for 2 years and tell them to go somewhere else. Wherever they go, we'll follow them. Moving on, credit cards. I'll never have a county credit card. I'll spend my own money. I'll drive my own vehicle. I'll provide my own lodging. This is out of hand. The spending is out of hand. Moving on, budgets. The spending is out of hand on these budgets. The commissioners need to go in there and see how some of these offices are being run and make adjustments. The landfill. You go find out whoever authorized construction to bring in that landfill, and you tell them they owe us millions of dollars. Because we can't go back and get that stuff and take it somewhere else. Whoever authorized it, you need to go talk to them and say, you messed up. We must be more selective who we hire and who we vote for. Ladies and gentlemen, the county is not an employment agency. We only need enough people working to do the job. When you talk about hiring assistants, you've got a problem. Schools, I'm required by law to do an 18-hour course. After that, I'm done. I like to sleep in my own bed. I like Habersham. You know what I'm saying. The fire stations, fix them as we go along. It's not fair for property owners and better burgers. Stop.
Yeah. Red light stop on the highways and in here as well. Locke, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And appreciate your efforts of standing up. I think that microphone's going to work better if you remain seated. I'm sorry to say that, but we're trying to.
Sir, when I speak to the people of this county, I want to be on my feet.
I understand that, but I think mic-wise for the room and then for online might help us a little bit if we could work with that. Thank you very much for that. And Grisella McGugan is next. 2 minutes for opening comments.
Thank you. Oh, right here. Sorry. Start again, please. Can you hear me? Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Gisela McGugan, but most know me as Gigi. My family and I reside here in Clarksville, just up the road from here. I am married and mother to 3 beautiful girls, 2 teenagers, and 1 elementary student. I have been a teacher here in Habersham for the last 5 years, and I have a teaching career of 20 years, and currently work at Wilbanks Middle School. And education and information are essential to make wise decisions. Thank you to our sponsors for putting this event together for our citizens to learn more about what the county needs. As we gather here today, as we engage in this important forum, I am honored to stand before you as a candidate for county commissioner. Our county stands at a crossroads, facing critical decisions that will shape our future for years to come. It's time for bold leadership and a renewed commitment to the principles that matter most to our constituents. First and foremost, let me be unequivocal. I am steadfast in my commitment to keeping taxes low. Our hardworking families deserve relief from the burden of excessive taxation. We must prioritize fiscal responsibility and prudent budgeting to ensure that every taxpayer dollar is spent wisely and efficiently. Equally urgent is the need to put an end to frivolous spending. For too long, wasteful expenditures have eroded public trust and strained our resources. As your county commissioner, I will work tirelessly to scrutinize every dollar of expenditure, prioritizing essential services and investments that directly benefit our community. Furthermore, I firmly believe in prioritizing local talent and expertise. We must put an end to the practice of hiring high-paying positions from outside the county, neglecting the wealth of skill and experience within our own community.
Thank you very much. Appreciate opening comments. So as we get into the questions for our candidates here, green light, you got 45 seconds, 15 seconds on the yellow, and that red is stop. There we go. First question for our candidates here for District number 5, and that would be the strategies that you as a county commissioner would propose to stimulate economic growth and job creation in the county. And Grisella, we begin with you on this one.
In order for us to stimulate job growth, construction, we can focus our energies in building up 365, adding sewer and water to promote industry to come into 365, not necessarily here within Habersham city limits or our county lines, but out into 365.
Locke?
In order to promote growth, one of the largest things you gotta have is very expensive, is a wastewater treatment plant down the south end of the county. It's gonna cost some money, but we can't do anything till we get that thing built, and it's gonna cost some money. You must be able to handle the wastewater treatment. Once we get that plant up and running, we got it. We can bring the industry, start at the lower end of the county and come up, but I'm saying, I don't want to tear these mountains down. We need to concentrate on the 365 corridor. That's where the highways are. That's where the people can get in and out of the county quickly. But we must have wastewater treatment. You can pipe water anywhere. I mean, water, power, anything you got. But still, wastewater treatment, it's very expensive, but that's a priority and the main priority to get things kicking off around that corridor down there. You've got to have wastewater treatment plant.
All right, let's go with question number 2, and that would be, for 40 years, leaders have spoken about water and sewer needs. You two have both mentioned that along the 365 corridor. So how can Habersham County catch up in terms of water and sewer infrastructure along that corridor, attract industry, and how can that be done swiftly to implement necessary infrastructure that seems to be lagging a little bit? Locke, we begin with you.
Once again, wastewater. It's going to cost some money, and it's going to take time. You're not going to do this overnight. It's going to cost a fortune. But once it's up and running, you don't have to worry about the industries coming. 3 things: location, location, location. They will come, and we won't have to give them a tax break. The location alone will sell itself. We want the most amount of jobs in the smallest square footage. We can be selective who we allow coming into this county. We want the most amount of jobs out of the smallest square footage. These buildings, they'll come and set these buildings up just as fast as they can build them. But we need to be selective who we let come in. Wastewater treatment, number one. We got to have it.
Gisela?
So when the businesses come into our county, we don't have already the water and sewage set up. So as we make the contracts, as we set up the deals, they provide the funding, and once we have the contract and the deal in, then we can invest into our county, because we're going to be making revenue from these contracts and businesses. So that is one way to focus our energy in getting industry into our county, by allowing them to know, hey, we're over here and we are open to having you guys here with your business. And then once we have that, then we can start building up the land and developing.
Question number 3, county facing some major future expenses. Those have been referenced in some ways, but some of this is related to lingering hospital debt, there's possible new jail, there's landfill needs. How do you as a commissioner propose to acquire funding to solve these issues in the long term? And Gisela, we begin with you.
Okay, so in reference to the jail, that is a big topic. Many people, mostly the people who share with me, are the ones that want the new jail. I personally believe we do not need a new jail. We need to spend money in fixing those areas that are needing to be renovated, brought up to code. We don't need a new facility. We have options of generating income from the people who go to jail to pay for a bond. Instead of housing them, they can bond themselves out. They can work the jail, that's one way, and that's as far as the jail. The landfill, we need to find a way to purchase more land and make it right so that it is worked well, because there's going to be more construction coming. There's more people coming to build homes in our beautiful Habersham.
Lock Arnold.
The jail. I toured the jail. I went through the chain of command and I asked him, I want a tour. I got it from a very professional young man. He opened up every door in that building. He showed me everything. I also toured the property. I walked the property. We can sit there, and there's property adjacent to this. We are going to have a new jail, a minimum of a 400-bed facility. But beside that jail, I would like to see 1,000 to 2,000 bed storage facility. The courts are overflowed. They're not processing these court cases as fast as these people are being arrested. There are millions and millions of dollars to be made on storage and just feed these people, because it's overloaded. But there's money to be made on this jail. You take a 2,000 bed facility, $100 a day, $200,000 a day, times 365. That's $73 million. A 1,000 bed facility bringing $36.5 million. We can make money at a jail. It sounds crazy, but it'll work.
Let's go to question number 4. Residents growing weary of property taxes. That's increasing every year, or they are. So what steps will you take to ensure a couple things here? Transparency and accountability in county government. And when it comes to those budget allocations and decision-making processes, what about accountability and transparency there as well? And we begin with Lock Arnold.
Number one, we're spending too much money. Number two, look at the old courthouse. They abandoned it, built a new one. What they should have done is put enough money aside while building that new courthouse to go in and retrofit the old courthouse. But no, what did they do? They went and built a new administrative building. That would have been a fine administrative building. We could save $5 million right there. Money does not grow on trees. We got to be selective who we hire. We got to be selective who we vote for. And the people should not be held responsible. Homeowners and property owners should not be held responsible for the debt of the masses. We have apartments being built, and they need to pay their fair share. I say $25, $50 a month per apartment. Let the school buses pull up there. Let them pay their fair share. We've had a Sutton Terrace. We had the one down near the hospital, the one down in Cornelia. Let them pay their fair share.
Giselle?
So in an effort to keep our taxes low, we have a couple of options. For one area that is a driving force for me is our county hiring positions, creating a lot of middle management positions, a lot of expenditures, and all of that is leading to higher taxes because the budget keeps going over and over month after month, and it keeps getting yes to pass, and our county doesn't have the funds to proceed, so that's going to go back to on our backs to pay and make up the debt. We do have businesses that are coming into our county, as you all know, Dunkin' Donuts and TJ Maxx, and those are all great, and they will help support our county by bringing in revenue from their sales taxes. So that is one way. Like Mr. Arnold said, the courthouse was
Sorry,
recently
Giselle.
sold.
We're out of time, sorry about that. So let's move to agriculture. An economic engine here in Habersham County, great culture with that, history, but there are some threats. Rapid residential development, urbanization, those are potential and significant threats, I should say, to agricultural lands. As a commissioner, how do you plan to protect and preserve our agricultural heritage here in Habersham County, which is the largest economic engine we have? And this go around, we begin with Loch Arnold.
Cattle. There's a lot of cattle in here. They're farms. You know, we need to concentrate on that corridor. I don't want to tear down these mountains. I want Habersham to be left alone. Leave the agriculture the way it is. These people want to keep their farms, let them keep their farms. Raise some cows, goats, pigs, I don't care. But don't force them out, you know, and that's what the system is trying to do, is force these people to sell their land. Look at Highway 17 down there. I live down that road. Those people will run you off the road going to work. You know, we need to concentrate on the corridor, let this agriculture system, let Fieldale do what Fieldale does. They've been a big business people in this county, and we would be in a heck of a fix without them. Agriculture means a lot. Cattle, chickens, farming, corn, you know, sometimes you got to leave well enough alone.
Gisela?
As an educator, my number one priority for agriculture is to continue it in our school system. That is a great driving force to raise our children to have a passion and knowledge for agriculture. If I can say, as a Georgia studies teacher, Georgia was built on agriculture, starting with cotton, tobacco, and so many others. So agriculture is very important, and in our Habersham County, it is a driving force for our community, and it's important to keep it where it is. So let's make sure we are zoning our areas in Habersham County to promote that. So we leave that area zoned as such. We can build apartments or different developments, but be strategic in where we're putting these businesses. We're not smacking apartments down in the middle of a farm where there's residential communities.
Thank you. Our sixth question here. So the fragmented nature of county governments along with 7 separate municipalities. So let's get your thoughts on a couple things here. One is, how can you navigate the challenges? What ideas would you have about unification or unifying these entities, meaning county government and the municipalities? And the second part, how do you envision collaboration, coordination among the municipalities to better serve the interest of all of Habersham County? Gisela, we begin with you.
Having a relationship with all the boards, school board, library board, commissioners, the city managers, the city mayors, however they may be aligned. It's vital to the success of Habersham County because when we speak together, we have like-minded goals and views of our county. It's going to allow us to build up our city and our county as a whole, how we, the constituents, see fit. It is important to have those relationships. We need to invest in going to the meetings. This takes time. This takes time for you guys. It takes time from our time, but we want to do that. I want to be there. I want to invest in our community, in our county, in our students. Thank you.
Locke?
The county is a business. It has employees, provides services, has a revenue base to the tax system. These cities, you know, some of them want to be left alone and let them do their own thing. If that's what they want, let them have it. We'll give them their share of the splosh and let them do what they want to do. Look at Clarksville. Look at Demorest. Look what Cornelia's done. They cleaned that place up. You can't tell these people what they want to do. They've got their own management. They've got their own mayor. They've got their own city managers. Some of these cities want to be left alone and let them go their own way. And I believe let them do that. The county has a business and they've got their job to take care of the county stuff. But the cities, they want to be, you know, I have a feeling they want to be left alone and let them make their own decisions. And I'm all for it. I mean, if they want to talk, we'll talk. We'll have a powwow and get at it. But, you know, some of these people, they want to be left alone and make their own decisions. That's why they have their own government.
Well, thank you both. Those are the 6 questions we have for you. 2 minutes for closing comments. And we will begin with Giselle. You get your 2 minutes and closing comments, followed by Mr. Arnold.
As we draw near the conclusion of this debate, I want to leave you with a clear and resolute message. Our county stands at a pivotal moment where the decisions we make today will reverberate for generations to come. We have heard promises and proposals from all sides, but what truly matters is action. It's time for decisive leadership that puts the interests of our constituents above all. I stand before you as a candidate who is unwavering in my commitment to keeping taxes low, stopping frivolous spending, and putting an end to the practices that hinder our county's progress. We cannot afford to continue down the path of fiscal irresponsibility and mismanagement. Together, we must chart a new course, a course that prioritizes the needs of our community, empowers our local workforce, and ensures that every taxpayer dollar is spent wisely and efficiently. Let us reject the status quo and embrace a future where opportunity flourishes, where our county is a beacon of prosperity and promise. I ask for your support, your trust, and your vote. Together, we can build a better future for our county, one that is built on the foundation of fiscal responsibility, prudent governance, and unwavering dedication to the common good. Thank you, and may we move forward together with courage, conviction, and resolve.
Locke Arnold. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The tax base, the way it is today, it has failed. It's not fair for the property owners and the homeowners to bear the burden of debt. There's only so much land in Habersham County. How much land? 277 square miles, 203 in water. The tax base has failed. Why? They had to raise taxes. We have to come up with alternatives. And this jail will do it. You pay the payment, you double the payment, and we can still come up with enough money on a yearly basis to finance a water treatment plant down in the lower end of the county. We can pay the bills at this new jail, have a 400-bed facility, and come up with enough money to pay for a water treatment plant down there. Sometimes you got to think out of the box, ladies and gentlemen, and the tax system in this county has failed. It's over. We have to come up with other alternatives. What are they going to do? Keep raising property taxes? I mean, how high can they go? Next thing you know, the county will own every piece of land in the county. The tax system, I'm telling you, has failed. Anytime you have these elected officials raising taxes, somebody's not doing their job. There's too much fat in the government, and they're spending too much money. And that's about all I got to say about that.
Well, there you go. There's your District 5 candidates, the challengers. And we appreciate them offering their services and for being here tonight. Coming up next, we'll have the Board of Education, District 1, followed by District 2. District 1, we have the incumbent, Doug Westmoreland, and the challenger is Brett Barden. We'll go in alphabetical order for opening comments. Gentlemen, you get 2 minutes. And in case you haven't been told, the light green means go. And you'll have 15 seconds when you get the yellow light, and the red light means stop, okay? And then they told you, I guess, to press the button. We can close that door. Chip is on the job. Thank you, Chip. All right, so let's begin now opening comments, and that'll go with Brett Barden.
All right, is that working? Yeah, thanks for having us here tonight. I want to actually start with just saying how much I respect this man here, Coach West. He was my Key Club advisor when I was president of Key Club many years ago when I was at Habersham Central. I actually had the rare privilege of working with Coach West and Dr. Barron during that transition period, so I'm grateful for that. But there's a lot of nice things I can say about him. He's a great public servant. I hear he's a decent basketball player too, but that might just be a myth. But I'm Brett Barden. I am a Habersham Central High School graduate. I have a degree in chemical engineering from Georgia Tech. I have a master's in business from Piedmont University. I have worked for Johnson & Johnson for about 14 years, some of that with Ethicon, some of that with the pharmaceutical business in Athens, all of it in an engineering function. I'm currently the engineering manager over the Cornelia and Athens facilities. I lead a team of about 50 technical professionals, and I manage the site investment budget that runs about $20 million per year. I believe that these experiences, this background, would bring valuable insight to the Habersham County Board of Education. Coach West will point out that the current board works well together, and that's a reason to keep it intact. And I want to play devil's advocate to that and say that I think it's important to have some differences of opinion when it comes to matters of budget, matters of personnel, matters of leadership. I think we should share the same values and the same outlook on what belongs in a school system and what doesn't. But I do think if we all agree on the same thing, we're probably missing some things. So I'm not asking for you to vote for me because I think Coach West has done anything wrong necessarily. I'm asking you to vote for me because I bring a new perspective to the board, both in my line of work, which is not represented on the board, my educational background, but also if I'm from a different generation than what we currently have on the board as well.
All right, thank you very much. Doug Westmoreland.
First of all, I'd like to thank Brett for the nice comments. I appreciate that, sir, and appreciate that. You thought a lot of your dad and the whole family there. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and giving me the opportunity to tell you why I want to stay on the Board of Education. My name is Doug Westmoreland. Everyone called me Coach West at school because my last name was so long. I've devoted the last 40 years of my life, yes, 40 years, to the Habersham County school system as a teacher, as a coach, assistant principal, and now a member of the Habersham County Board of Education. Not only am I an educator, but I'm also a parent. My two children are products of the Habersham County school system. My daughter was the class of 2008 salutatorian, and my son graduated in 2015 in special needs. So I've raised the honor student and the special needs student, and I have experienced both sides of the spectrum. I understand the needs of students from the viewpoint of an educator and as a parent. And now I have two grandchildren in the school system here in Habersham County. We've accomplished many things the past 8 years that I've been on the board. Lowering the millage rate each year to help our property owners, record graduation rate of 97.8%, top 25 safest schools in the state, and most recent being free lunch for all the students this coming school year. And this is really going to help the working families. This is federally funded, and it will cost our taxpayers nothing. These are just a few things of many that we've done. We need to keep our current board. Our board works good together. We do not need change. Let me repeat, we do not need change. We do not fix what is not broken. What we need is consistency. We need to stay consistent in the great things we do in our school system. We need consistency in carrying out the school strategic plan.
Opening comments having been said, we'll get to the questions here. Looks like we have 6 as well for our Board of Education candidates. And here's the first question. What does effective governance by the Board of Education entail? And in your view, what is the board's role in guiding educators and administrators toward the goal of success for all? And Doug, we'll begin with you on this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Joel. Well, first of all, I would like to point out that the roles of the board member are very limited. A lot of people think that we can just get out there and just run the school system, tell people what to do, and that is not our role. As a board member, we stay in our lanes. What we do as a board member, we first hire a superintendent. He's the overseer of all the things that goes on in our county. We have complete trust in him, and he's the one that does all the management regarding your question you're saying there. So our main goal is to hire a superintendent with great leadership like Mr. Cooper has done over the past the many years he's been here with us. Also, we approve an annual budget. We make policy. We approve personnel. We make land purchases. But more importantly, we approve our strategic plan. And we really, every decision that we do is based on our strategic plan. So that is one of the reasons, as board members, we have to stay in our roles.
Brett?
Thank you. Yeah, so I agree with much of what Coach West said. I think it's important to stay out of the day-to-day for the Board of Education and really empower our leaders to do their jobs well. I also believe, in my line of work, it's important to get feedback on performance of individuals as well. So while we have leaders who lead the school system, it's important to get feedback on those individuals. And in the corporate world, we call it 360-degree feedback or stakeholder feedback. It's important to get the pulse of the teachers to know, are they being supported in the way that they're supposed to be supported? So I think that's a good way to hold people accountable, to get the voice of the teacher, the voice of the administrator in the school, and to make sure that we're getting that feedback so that we can hold those district level leaders and ultimately the board as well accountable for doing their jobs well.
Second question, how do you plan to attract and retain qualified teachers and staff in Habersham County Schools, particularly in subjects with shortages such as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and vocational skills? And Brett, we begin with you.
Absolutely. I was hoping I'd get an opportunity to speak about what I've learned recently about our CTAE programs. I was really blown away when I learned how far these have come since I was in high school. I went and spoke to the engineering class last week and was just fascinated by what Coach Blackburn is doing with that class. So we just went to speak about the careers in manufacturing and engineering. But I believe very strongly in growing that talent here. So we want those educators to come back, to go off to school and come back here, and we can grow a lot of those skills right here in the school system. So that CTAE program, top notch. I also like pushing students towards the 2-year programs as well. I actually attend Lanier Tech now to earn an associate's degree just as a continuous learning, and I think it's important to open up those doors for students too.
Doug?
Okay, when I started in teaching in 1984, it was hard to get in the Habersham County school system. Nobody wanted to leave because it was a great place to teach. It was a great place to raise your family. And one of the things that I got on the board as the board member, I told Mr. Cooper and the other board members, I want to get that back. And one of the things that we have done over the past 8 years is we have treated our teachers extremely well. We've paid them early on certain situations. Used to, we didn't get paid to the end of the month in January. And you teachers that are out there, you know how long that took. The bills coming in and everything. So now then we pay them early. We've done a lot of things where we've given them options and stuff like that to do flex days and stuff at home. We've done many things for our teachers. And then not only just the teacher, but our staff, our custodians, and all the other people. And that right there, Joel, is that it takes to keep people to want to stay. We want to get it to back where nobody wants to leave, and we've seen that trend over the last 8 years I've been on the board.
Third question, how do you intend to enhance parent and community involvement in the education system to foster a collaborative approach to student success. And we begin with you, Doug.
Okay. Well, one of the things that really bothers me, Joel, is this. We are very transparent in everything we do. We have a work session prior to our regular board meeting on Thursdays. Sometimes it lasts from 2 hours to 4 hours. Some people just see our regular board meeting on a Monday night and they think it's just a dog and pony show, but it's not. We actually reward people, and we actually tell them and reward celebration and success. What bothers me is that we have this transparency, we have this public forum, but we don't get people to come to our meetings and stuff. And we'd like to see more parent involvement. We encourage that. Our administrators and all of our staff, I think we do a great job with communication with our parents and getting them involved with all the newsletters that the school sends out and everything. So we want more parental involvement.
Brett?
I don't know who would say such a thing, Coach West. No, I did mean that facetiously, and I think recognition is extremely important. I'm glad that we use the board meeting for that purpose. I do think it's important to discuss other things in public beyond the recognition, too. That really was the basis for the comment. Speaking to parent involvement, I've heard some feedback that it's really difficult for parents to get into elementary schools, and I know that's a safety issue, and it's really important to protect our children. But perhaps we're at a point now where we can start to relax those and get parents into elementary schools so they can participate in those key events with their children. But also on the transparency comment, I look at other boards of education and how much information you can garner by the public board meetings, and I think the public business should be done in public. And so we should be able to read minutes and watch these meetings and be able to understand really what the issues are.
Let's go to our next question. How do you perceive the significance of vocational training in preparing students for future careers? And how do you plan to enhance our system's offerings and program quality? And so we'll go back to Brett for this round of questions.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I'd like to frame everything in terms of student, teachers, and taxpayers. And I think that our school system has done a phenomenal job in student outcomes. I mean, Coach West referenced the performance of graduation rate. We're one of the top schools systems in our RESA. I think that's a lot to be proud of there. The AP offerings now are so much more than what they were a few years ago. I told somebody I was jealous. I took a lot of AP classes when I was in high school, and there's so many more to offer now. I mean, a student should have no trouble getting to any college that they want to go to, given the number of APs that we offer. And the CTAE program, again, is just top-notch. The excellent partnerships within the community to make that happen. And that skills-based training is so vital. I hire individuals who have that type of training, being an engineering manager, and there's a need for it, and there's a lot of growth there, and it's high-paying jobs, and we just need to steer students towards those things, and those are great opportunities that we offer.
Doug?
Well, one of the things that I appreciate what Kelly Woodall said earlier and the commissioner questioning is that education is vital and very important to economic development. One of the things I've talked with Charlie Five-Ash and others about is that when businesses come into this community, the first thing they're going to ask for is how's the educational system and how's the medical system. And CTA is very important because not everybody's going to go to college, not everybody's going to do that route. And we're so happy at our school at Habersham Center. We have the welding program there with North Georgia Tech. We have the EMT program at North Georgia partnering with North Georgia Tech. And we have so many other vocational programs that are preparing students for the workforce here in Habersham County. And we're so proud of that, and we want to continue that going.
So the next question, you both kind of alluded to this, so let's dive into it a little bit here. The Board of Education has the largest local budget. So here's the question, or questions. What specific measures do you propose to ensure transparency and accountability in financial matters to the Habersham County taxpayers? Doug?
Okay, we had a budget meeting just last week. Matter of fact, it was the 7th. I did the budget reading. We had 0 people in the public there to have. We have a great CFO. She puts everything in the paper. We are very transparent. I can't see anything that we're not transparent about. We're transparent in our work sessions, with the minutes, with everything that's done, and with our regular board meeting. One of the things, though, is that we have a large budget. Yes, that's true. But we're going to take care of our students here in Habersham County. 91% of the budget that we have goes to the student instruction, the paying the students, the teachers and stuff, and getting everything ready. And only 9% goes to the maintenance of the school. Very important, but I'm not apologizing for our budget, because the greatest resource here in Habersham County is our children.
Brett?
Sure, yeah, I mean, when you look at these board meeting minutes and you watch the board meetings, I find it difficult to kind of get into the details of where the dollars are going. And perhaps those are maybe happening in an executive session, I don't know. But I do think that there is room for improvement in pointing us towards where each and every one of those dollars is going, how the SPLOST dollars are being used. And that should be done in public. And we have sunshine laws that say that we should be doing this business in the public. There should be deliberation, there should be discussion in these meetings. It's just we see a lot of 5-0 votes in favor of things on our Board of Education, and not a whole lot of discussion. And like I said, maybe that's happening in an executive session, but it really should be happening out in public.
Final question. What is the next major goal the system needs to work on over the next 4 years? Brett?
So I think we need to continue to grow some of these key areas. Like I've mentioned, that we have a lot of AP classes already, but there's more that we can add. That takes talented educators, which I think we have a lot of them. I think we'll talk about teacher compensation. I applaud our state legislature for passing law to increase teacher pay. I think that helps us get talented educators in our schools and teach these more complicated classes. I was asking about AP Capstone, which is just an amazing offering that we have in our school system. And I asked, who teaches that? Because that's got to be a really challenging subject to teach. That plus the CTAE is just, I can't say enough good things about this. Being someone who's actually in school at Lanier Tech now, and being someone who can understand those interests for those students, and just being an area that we so badly need to grow our workforce.
Doug?
First of all, I want to follow up on a previous question. None of the budget items are ever discussed in executive session, nor any of the SPLOST information is discussed in executive session. Everything is public, everything is transparent. If people would come to the meetings, or if they read our board minutes or watch the program that's video that's shown out on Facebook or whatever, they will see everything. It's detailed on everything that we spend in SPLOST. There's no transparency issues whatsoever. And as far as what we need to do, we need to keep the consistency going. Things are going great. My dad always said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. We don't need fixing. We just need to, are we satisfied? Are we content? Absolutely not. We want to keep growing. We want to keep getting better. And you mentioned the AP Capstone. I was an integral part of getting that started, because I was against IB and some of these other detrimental programs that come to our students. So I just want you to know that we're going to keep the consistency going.
Time for closing comments. 2 minutes. Doug, we'll start with you. Brett, you get to finish after that. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Okay. When my wife and I retired in teaching in 2015, I told her I wanted to serve on the Board of Education, and she said, "Are you crazy? I thought we were retiring." But I told her I wanted to continue to help the students in Habersham County. She is my biggest supporter next to my 2 grandbabies. They're proud of Papa. My granddaughter's 7 years old. My Papa's on the Board of Council. My entire family is a product of the Habersham County school system. I want to ensure the same quality of education for generations to come. I love what I do, and I'm very passionate about it. I really feel like this is my calling, and I would love to continue to serve on the Board of Education. Looking around the room tonight, I see many of you that I've taught or that I've coached, and you know me. You know what I stand for and my love for this school system. Being a former teacher and coach and administrator, I bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to the board that no other board member or candidate can bring. I would really appreciate your vote this May. Re-elect Doug Westmoreland to the Habersham County Board of Education for a 3rd term. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Joel, and the Habersham Bureau, Farm Bureau. Thank y'all very much.
Brett?
Yeah, I'll finish by just summarizing briefly the vision that I have coming into the Board of Education. Like I said before, I think we need to frame everything in terms of student outcomes, our educators and our taxpayers. I do think that we're doing phenomenally well on the student outcomes. Like I mentioned, the performance in the RESA, and I think Coach West deserves a lot of credit for that, and the current board as well as the leadership. The AP offerings, CTAE, all just terrific work there. The teachers, I mentioned that I think we need to make sure that the teachers are happy and they're being supported. I think it's important to get their feedback through means of things such as surveys. I'm pleased to see the increase in teacher pay. I know that can be a little bit at odds with the taxpayer element, but if we don't compensate our teachers, we're going to lose the ones who are talented. So I'm just really thrilled to see that. And as far as the taxpayers, I mean, I'm sure anybody can comb through a budget and criticize things, and that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm sure that Coach West and Dr. Barron and Ernie have a lot more insights than I do about where the dollars are being spent. But what I can say is that I will have the taxpayer in mind in every decision that we make on the board. Every dollar that's spent, we need to ask ourselves and scrutinize, is this dollar adding value for the student, and is it empowering our teachers to be successful? Last thing I'll say is that I'm coming into this not having direct experience in Board of Education. I have relevant experience. But Coach West at one point was new to the board, and everybody on the board at one point was a first-term board member. So I just want to say I'm willing to learn. I think that's a strength of mine, that I can learn quickly and apply things quickly. So I may not have all the answers going in, but you have my word that I will find those answers.
And there you go, District 1 Board of Education candidates. Gentlemen, thank you very much. A unique dynamic tonight for sure. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. So District 2 will be seated next.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy that y'all decided to stay this long with us. I'm really hopeful that everyone will go away with some information that will really help you be more mindful of what it takes to be on the school board and what our school board does for our children. My name is Robert Barron, and I'm finishing up my 52nd year in education. I'm finishing in my 16th year being on the school board, so I'm looking for my 5th term. When I first came on the board in 2008, our system was looking up at schools like Hall County, Dalton, Forsyth, and Atlanta. We were looking up to them because they were doing things what maybe seemed to be right at the time. But today I can say that because of our very effective and very efficient board that we have now, that schools all across the state of Georgia are looking at Habersham County schools. We are a very effective, well-operated school system that is managing the monies that we get from state, federal, lost taxes. All these sources of money, we are handling them. We're very transparent with that. And so we want to continue to do this. We want to continue to make our schools one of the best. I'm very proud to be serving on the system, and I want to continue to serve on it for 4 more years or until something drastically happens. But, I won't serve it. I want to keep it going.
Thank you, sir. Ernie Garrett.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name's Ernie Garrett, and I'm running for the Habersham County Board of Education. My wife, Teresa, and I are both educators in Habersham County Schools. I am recently retired, and she currently serves as the school counselor at Baldwin Elementary. We have 2 children, Madeline and Hudson, that are both in the Habersham County school system. The role of the school board is to oversee the operation of set policies for our school. The superintendent's role is to administer the day-to-day management of the schools. The board and the superintendent should work as a check and balance system to benefit all the shareholders. I do not feel that we currently have this. The reason I'm running for this position is because, as a former educator, I see the need for changes in our schools. I want to be an advocate for teachers and hear their concerns without fear of intimidation or reprisal. I want a grading policy that promotes achievement and does not promote students who show little to no effort. I want to have I think that our primary responsibility should be to graduate young adults with the skills and the work ethic to either continue their education or join the workforce. I want to also be accountable to the taxpayer and stop any wasteful spending. According to an open records request that I asked from the county tax commissioner about the amount of taxes collected just on the behalf of the school board, in the last 5 years, this amount has increased 19.3%, which is higher than the rate of inflation. I want to be your voice and be the one to ask questions that no one else is now willing to ask.
Opening statements have been given, so now we'll move to the meat of our questions here. We have 6 total for you gentlemen, and Ernie will get the first question, and here's how it reads. What does effective governance by the Board of Education entail, and in your view, what is the board's role in guiding educators and administrators toward the goal of success for all students?
Well, as I said in my opening statement, I think the primary responsibility of the board is to set the policies and procedures for the schools to follow. Things like attendance policies. I don't think that kids that don't come to school, when I was a teacher, we would have kids that would miss 90 days in a year. And then we would be told, you got to make it to where they can pass. Give them work, give extra credit, do whatever. Well, that's not work ethic. I believe we have a responsibility to teach kids that you have to go to work every day, you have to know something, you have to be a good employee, you have to do the things. It's not just about education, it's about how you dress, it's about how you carry yourself. There's a lot more that goes into education than just learning math and learning how to read.
Robert?
Our school system operates in a most efficient way. As a board, we do not try to micromanage. We depend on a superintendent to direct school activities, to guide the schools, and to have them report to him. We have principals who are taking care of their schools. It's not our job to micromanage and stay on top of every little detail for the operations of the school. There are some things that, we've always wanted to, to look into, and we try every year to, implement procedures and policies that really make education, what it should be, and what I feel like we have accomplished through the years. We have 1,230 people who do a great job.
Second question, how do you plan to attract and retain qualified teachers and staff in the Habersham County school system, particularly in subjects with shortages such as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and the vocational fields? Robert, we'll start this round with you.
We have a very effective way of looking at what our students need. Our high school has been working very efficiently, trying to get kids in certain work programs that have the best, that are best suited for them. We have an EMT program, we've had a carpenter program, we've looked into other programs that we are seeing. There are many avenues that we feel like we have an opportunity to continue to work with in conjunction here with the trade school. We have issues, we have great working relationships with here. We have been trying to work on the businesses and letting them know that we have some great students, and we know that they're coming looking for our good students to come work for them.
Ernie, we give the same question to you, please.
I believe you attract and retain teachers primarily by letting teachers teach. In my years of education, most teachers that I've ever met don't go into the education field because they don't want to help students. But when you have students that are disruptive or that won't come to school or do their work, and it seems like nobody cares about enforcing the rules to do that, and those students just keep being put back in the class, those teachers get frustrated. They don't feel supported. They need to feel support from the administration. They need to feel support from the superintendent. They need to feel support from the board. And there needs to be policies in place that will deal with all of these situations so that teachers can teach, because that's what they love to do. They don't want to give grades to kids. They don't want to pass kids that don't come to school. They want to hold kids accountable. Teachers are held accountable. We need to hold the students accountable for what they need to do. I think we need to make every possible way for kids to be able to learn, and I think we need to help kids, but there also has to be rules to follow.
Third question, how do you intend to enhance parent and community involvement in the education system, which would then maybe foster a collaborative approach to student success? Ernie?
Well, as principal at Success Academy, that's the alternative school in a non-traditional high school. I guess I taught some of the hardest kids in the county as far as kids, if you talk about kids that don't necessarily want to come to school. And my philosophy's always been, if you have not because you ask not. So I would go out in the community and I'd ask for help. And it was amazing to me how many people would love to like to help schools and are willing to come in and do about anything that they can do if they know what the need is. So I think if you share the need and explain to them how people can help, people line up to do that most of the time. We had great support with one of the local Baptist churches that would come in and help our kids. We would have community members that would come in and buy uniforms for our kids and just do all kinds of things because they knew that the need was there. So if you tell people how they can help and give them an opportunity, I think you'll have all the support that you want.
Robert?
I believe also that, we can prepare the students, and by letting them see opportunities and getting them into the businesses, do more job shadowing, have opportunities to do some research on some of the ways that different opportunities can, be given to the kids. I think, the parents need to, see what, we're doing and trying to get the parents to come into the schools and see that we are taking care of their children, that we are, giving them the best education, we're giving them the best resources. So, we need to continue to tap into our business resources in the county.
So how do you perceive the significance of vocational training in preparing students for future careers, and how do you plan to enhance the system's offerings and program quality? Robert, we'll start with you.
We have a fantastic relationship here with this school here, and we want to continue to open up avenues that will help our students see and understand what the businesses need in schools. I think once the students see and realize the value of the programs and see through job shadowing the benefits of being able to present themselves, be able to fill out applications, be able to do the things, the life skills, the soft skills, I think that we can do this, and we continue to work on making them ready for the future.
Ernie?
I would support and love to see a career and technical center as part of our school system, to where kids, let's face it, a lot of kids, they just want to get out of school as quickly as possible and go to work. And I think with proper training, I know Hall County has a career and technical center that I've toured in the past, and they work well with Lanier Tech. I think North Georgia Tech would work well with us to set up diploma programs or different programs so that they can work while they're in high school, and also take these technical programs so that when they graduate high school, they'll have a certificate or something to be able to go into the work field. I just think I also own a small business and have for about 28 years, and finding good employees that show up every day and will work hard is getting harder and harder to find every day. And the last several that I've hired, they want to stay on their phone and they don't want to work, and it's just that work ethic that we need to teach kids. And I think a lot of that comes just through seeing, with technical education, just seeing what they can do if they have the proper training.
Go to our fifth question. The Board of Education has the largest local budget. What specific measures do you propose to ensure transparency and accountability in financial matters to the Habersham County taxpayer? Ernie?
Well, I'm the kind of person that I'm proud of whatever it is. I have no secrets. If I vote yes on something, I'm going to be loud and proud and tell you why I voted yes on it. I don't think we have transparency now. As I have mentioned before, if you look at opengeorgia.gov, in 2021 and 2022, about 1% of our school staff of the administrative personnel received about a $350,000 increase. It was divided over that 1%, which averaged out at about $25,000. Well, nobody found out about it. I was in the school system at the time. They just passed the budget with that in it. They didn't say it was in there. They didn't talk about who was getting a raise and who wasn't. The same year, teachers got a $2,000 increase from the state. But a year and a half after that budget was passed, it came out in opengovernment.com and everybody found out about it. I don't think that's transparent government.
Robert?
Currently, we are developing our budget for the 24-25 year. And we have to present our budget. We have to present the different facets of all of the different departments, and looking at their budgets, and they trim it as good as they can. But we're working on a budget right now, and we have to present 3 times. And the times that we have presented, people just don't come. They don't show up, and we proceed with our presentations, but the people are not showing up. But we have nothing to hide. We've been very resourceful. We've been very fiscally responsible for all the spending that we have. We get the best for what we're paying them.
Final question, kind of looks into the future a little bit. What is the next major goal the system needs to work on over the next 4 years? Robert?
Well, there are a lot of things that, we can see that, we're definitely, as, the commissioner spent, time and time a while ago about talking with the Carter. Our system is going to grow. Our system is probably going to grow, more toward the south end of the county. We are, paying off the debt that our system got into many years ago. We're paying off that a year in advance. We have a lot of things that we can do and a lot of things that we're looking at trying to work to, see how we can best accommodate, what growth is going to be like in just a few years. It's going to be here. It's going to be on us, and we're going to be ready for it.
Ernie?
I agree. I think growth is probably one of the biggest things we have to look for, and that's going to be a challenge. But I think that the answer is not always just building more schools. I think society's changing. I think students have definitely changed over the years. I think we need to offer programs at night for a lot of the kids that were in my school would transfer to Mountain Ed because they work in the daytime. So I think it's important that we offer night programs for kids to be able to get their high school diplomas. So also with the career and technical opportunities that they could come at night to do that. So I think you offer more work-based study programs and things that kids can learn trades like that, so they're working with community. They get credit at school for working in classes. I mean, it's not, kids are all, you can do outdoor classrooms. There's all kinds of things you can do that moves kids around without having to build new schools, or that you can use your schools more efficiently than maybe we are right now.
Well, thank you for going through the questions. Here we are, closing comments, 2 minutes. We'll do in reverse as we open. So Ernie, you will get the first go on that, followed by Robert.
Okay. Well, first, thanks for the opportunity that you've given us to come out tonight. I think we've covered a lot of things I would talk about in my closing comments. The biggest thing is, I think, transparency. I think it's important that we continue to ask the tough questions, that we know where our money's being spent, that we don't just continue to ask the taxpayers to pay more every year. And we hear a lot of times board members talk about that everything's open and all this, and I've said to some of the board members in the past, I said, my family of four usually can't agree on where we go out and eat as a unified bunch. And I said, how is it that every vote that you ever take is always 5-0? I said, I don't see how it's possible. But anyway, that's just the way it is. Go to a board meeting and you'll see that most of the time. But I'm the one that I feel like will ask questions, that will try to figure out other alternatives for things, not just continuously ask the taxpayers to foot whatever it is we want to pass. So I appreciate your vote. It's going to be here before you know it. May 21st is just around the corner. I appreciate this opportunity.
Robert?
Our school system has rolled back taxes for 11 consecutive years. It's through the very efficient spending, very fiscally responsible, fully transparent. We don't hide anything with all this, but we have been very good about being able to provide the materials. We hire the best teachers that we can. We have the best principals to motivate our kids. I have seen, a tremendous gain in our system with, scores that, are impressive. I think the businesses that are, potentially looking where to build are very impressed with Habersham County Schools. And I think this will continue to be a way of going. I look forward to, the election. I want to keep serving for 4 more years. And I think that we can always be, a servant to whoever comes and asks for help and guidance for our system.
Robert Barron, Ernie Garrett, thank you very much for offering. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being here. Concerned citizens, participating citizens, that means a lot to this county. Thank you very much. Hope you have a nice evening. And again, thanks to our sponsors, Farm Bureau of Habersham, Habersham Chamber of Commerce, the Northeast Georgian, and My Country 99.3. Thanks again for watching and being here. Good night.